remember when I was in high school, hearing people and myself probably agreeing with, "What's the big deal with Black History Month? Like, there's no White History Month." I could crawl under a table right now. Like, and my eyes just got blurry, actually. I could crawl under a table now, realizing that those words probably came out of my mouth. But I don't think I'm alone. And so I want to have this conversation with you today about what is the big deal with Black History Month. I mean, even we're talking about your boss, Tasha, when she was on, she told a story about when she was in high school. She like, I don't know if it was student council, but something like that. And she's like, we're going to celebrate Black History Month. And it was like crickets and nobody wanted to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And there were other people of color in the room. And it was just like, I don't know if we should do this. So let's jump in, Faith, and I want you to be our teacher of the month with Black
Okay.
History Month. And let me just start with you asking you this question. Like, when you were growing up and you were, I don't know how you grew up or where you grew up, what was it like in your high school with Black History Month?
Yeah, so I have a really unique educational experience because I was homeschooled all the way through high school, and there are not many Black people at the time when I was homeschooled that were homeschooled. So it was very much so kind of like a, what are they doing?
So your Black History Month was like amazing.
Well, yeah, my parents taught me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, my parents taught us Black history. Obviously, like the curriculum that we had did not teach accurate history and it wasn't correct. And so, they definitely worked really hard to teach us about different people who are just pivotal in Black culture that they felt like we needed to know about, and things that we should celebrate. And it was very much so something that they took pride in teaching us, like about who we are and where we come from. So that's just incredible.
Okay, so your educational experience was different than mine. But when I told you what I just told you, being super vulnerable, that's not new for you to hear, is it?
No, it's
Okay,
not.
so
I've
let's
heard it a
talk
lot.
about that. Let's talk about that. Like, first of all, I guess the question would be, well, let me just ask you this: as a Black woman, and you can be honest with me, I don't feel that way anymore, Faith. So I have repented and we have moved forward. Jesus is good. But how does that honestly make you feel when you hear that? Not about me in particular, but just that
Yeah,
concept
just the
of why do we need
concept.
to? Yeah.
It makes me feel like, well, I think like honestly, it just kind of highlights that I think sometimes white people don't see that every day is white history for us. And Black History Month is just a time for us to highlight and show to the world and to the country that we have a story to tell and our voices are going to be heard. And I just don't think that people realize that when everything is written or, comes from the lens of white folks, that doesn't give us the opportunity to tell our own stories. And it's important for us to do so. And it might seem you know, like something that's like might seem minute to some, but it is monumental for our community. And it really is everything. Because imagine having a story and a history that's told orally that then you're able to like write down and, pass on and for everybody to remember something. Like imagine like not having any way of remembering anything about who you are. And for us as Black Americans, especially those who are descended from those that are enslaved, American history that we have here, of our history here, is all we have because we don't know where our home country is. We don't know our tribes and things like that. So, this is it for us. And that's why it's so important for us to honor Black history.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, and I don't want to miss it, and I want you to explain it for people because it could be maybe alarming for some, it may be confusing for some. You said, for I'm quoting you as a Black person, you said every day is white history for us. Will you unpack that and tell me what you mean by that?
Yeah. So, what I mean by that is that there's so much in our society and in our culture that allows white people to be able to tell their story and their narrative and their history. It's everywhere. It's in our history books, it's in the things that we do, it's in the policies that are written, which are 9 times out of 10 written by white people. It is in our workplaces when there is a probably majority of white folks that are in the workplace, and you hear about people's lives, their history, their culture, their families, all of those things, like all of those things are history. And it might seem like really like silly when you think about it, but like let's really look back at what history is, right? Like it's us like recalling what has happened, it's us taking note and account of what has happened in the past. And every day something in history is being written. There's a moment in time that is going to become a major historical event, and just simple things in people's lives, families, things that are going to be documented. That's all history. And so when I'm sitting at a table and I'm the only Black woman in a workplace, and I'm listening to people's lives, their cultures, listening to them talk about their nanas or their pops or their land or their family or where they came from, that's history. And every day that I go into an environment where I'm the only person, I'm listening to somebody talk about their history. And some people might not think about it or realize that I don't know much about, of the people that have come before me, and I don't know much about my history. And there hasn't been anything that I can look back or trace in my life to say that was passed on from this person to this person to this person, and now it's mine. I don't have that. But what I do have is the knowledge of I come from great ancestors and people who I stand on their backs and I walk forward with their life, and their lineage and their blood in my veins. And so that's what I have. But a lot of people don't realize that you have like history, you have
Mm,
dates, you can track when maybe your ancestors came on a boat over here, and you can see all the names and times and dates and places. We don't have that, also
mm,
because we were held back from reading and writing and all those other things. So there's history that a lot of people have that they don't realize is actually special history to have. So that's why I say, for white folks, every day we see moments and glimpses in time where you all have access to history in your lives.